the voices, they compel me to consume more and more caffeine. Alright, so, review. Very quick review. I saw the movie Logan, and this is going to be a little odd this year, I think. Last year I did just a short video, and actually not so short a video, let's be honest with myself. I did a video where I basically explained that this year, in 2017, there are at least 12 movies I absolutely positively must see. And this was the first of them, Logan. And so I kind of have a roadmap for every single review I'm going to do this year, like in advance. Like, I don't see movies in the theater very often, but this is just a weird year for this. So we'll see how this works out, and we'll start with this film. I hope this movie does alright, because this was actually a very good movie. I want to start off right off by saying I really like this movie, and for some reason my voice is bothering me. Maybe I'm coming down with something, I don't know. But this movie was very good. I liked it. It was... Gosh, I guess this is the third, quote-unquote Wolverine movie after Origins and the Wolverine. This is yet another X-Men movie. I think this is supposed to be in the same continuity as the 3 X-Men soft reboot movies. First Class, Days of Future Past, and Age of Apocalypse. Yes, Age of Apocalypse, I think that's what that was called. And allegedly this is the last Hugh Jackman movie where he will portray Logan the Wolverine. After doing this for 17 years, over 9 movies. His last hurrah for this character. And it's a very good one. Let me start off with, first of all, yes, this was a very good movie. Just get that out of the way. 2, this is a very rated R movie. There's a lot of gore, and this is a gory-ass fucking movie. Just, don't bring your kids to this. I can't believe the number of kids I saw in that movie theater. It was crazy. What I liked, spoiler-free, by the by. I'm not going to do spoilers in this unless I specifically tag a movie as, hey, there's spoilers in this, watch out. This will be very spoiler-free. It's just how I roll. So, just briefly, this movie takes place in, I believe, 2029. And it's basically a future where mutants have disappeared. No new mutants are being born. Mutants are being killed in, I guess, the kind of shenanigans we see in previous X-Men films. But no new ones are coming about, so by 2029 there's just virtually none of them. Very, very few of them. That the details of this movie are excellent. There's just picking one. For example, there are these big trucks that are fully automated. So it's like the near future, there are automated trucks. It seems like feasible technology. And when you see the auto truck, you've seen shit like that in other movies, but when you see the auto truck, it looks dirty. It looks like it's a well-used piece of equipment. It doesn't seem to be working super perfectly well. It's a nice little detail. It's like, this is the future. Don't forget, this is the future. Like a little thing to put in there. It's not obnoxious or anything like that, but at the same time, it informs that this is the future, and at the same time, this is not Blade Runner, you know? Not to pick on Suicide Squad, for example, but using them as an example. Suicide Squad has this one point in it where the Suicide Squad fights a bunch of eyeball mud monster guys, generic enemies who just run at them in large numbers, and they just knock them down one after another, after another, after another. In Logan, and for that matter, all the X-Men movies, these movies tend to focus on difficult fights between equals, not just at the climax, but throughout the film. And this one's an excellent example. The Reavers, who are one of my favorite villains from the comics, the cyborg guys who hunt mutants, they're detailed. They're not generic guys. They look different than one another. They, like the one guy with the mohawk, and so on. It's not generic bad guys. When these guys die, there's a visceralness to it. It doesn't feel like a video game, in other words. So kudos for that. The dialogue felt natural. They were badass. Really, And that's what this review is going to be. What was promised to us in this film through the ad campaign, through marketing, or through stuff the director and Hugh Jackman and others have said in interviews, and what was delivered. And generally, this movie just delivers everything it promised. It promised. I mean, one ad had Johnny Cash's "Hurt," the "Hurt" song, implying that this is going to be they're going to be feels. You're going to be crying at some point in this film, and a lot of people in the audience were crying. I wasn't, but I did get a little choked up. It did have that. It did have the badass aspects of it. It promised bloodshed. Fuck, did it deliver on that? There was a lot of it. This is a really gory film. It's not a true gore film, but it is. There's bloodshed and decapitations and what have you. It's real nasty. What else was promised? I mean, that's pretty much it. A continuation of the story, and it felt like we were promised closure. Like, we can't keep making. We're going to need another soft reboot at some point in the future, or another reboot or something. So this film felt like closure to that, and that was cool. If this is going to be the last, like I've heard they're not really necessarily looking at doing a fourth soft rebooted X-Men movie, like maybe they will, maybe they won't. If this is kind of the last one in that continuity, and I get the impression it is, it's not bad. It's not a bad way to end it. It's very sweet in points. It's sincere. And it's very enjoyable to watch. I really dug it. Any problems with the other two Wolverine movies, their sins have been forgiven. This one has wiped clean that slate. Good job. Very good job. I wanted to say really briefly, there are two things worth mentioning. One, there's no, what do they call it, a stringer, the thing at the end. There is no post-credit scene in this film. Once again, that makes me think that they're not super eager to make a whole bunch of future X-Men movies. I think how this movie does will affect that. Two, there was a pre-movie sequence with Deadpool, and it was pretty fucking great. It was... I understand why they put it first, because it's Deadpool. You've just had a serious film, you don't want to have the ending to a serious film, no spoilers, the ending to a serious, much darker film, and then have Ryan Reynolds Deadpool prancing around. I get it. It would have broken the mood and tone of it, so putting it before the film, great idea. That was a cool idea. Two, we're kind of promised Nathaniel Essex, and I guess this is a spoiler-ish. He doesn't show up. Don't wait for it. If you know who that is and you were waiting for that guy, if you were waiting for Mr. Sinister, you're going to keep waiting. He doesn't show up in this film at all, which was a disappointment. I was really kind of eager to... This is one of my favorite villains. Really quickly, long as this movie was, and as many characters theoretically appeared, it's a very small cast. We really only get to see Wolverine, Charles Xavier, and X-23. It really stays focused on those three characters. And by extension, the film itself focuses on these three actors. I believe Daphne Keane is the child actor, the little girl. Then you have, of course, Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart. And this movie is carried mostly on their performances. They're absolutely excellent. I mean, normally a kid actor... man, you're rolling the dice whenever you throw that into the mix. But this kid does a really good job. Daphne did a great job. I can't complain about her performance at all. Early in the film, mutant X-23 doesn't really speak much, so it's like, oh, that was... while I was watching the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, this is an easy one for a child actor. Just don't let them talk at all. But then she does have to perform for most of the film. I think she just did a fantastic job. And of course, Hugh Jackman's always excellent. Patrick Stewart is fucking Patrick Stewart, so what do you expect? So the acting on this was gold standard. It was very top bar. Okay, so how do I do reviews? I do reviews like this. I say, what are the odds that you're going to see this movie and not like the movie? And I think they're pretty low. I would have said higher, but man, this movie is very rated R, and that's not everyone's bag. This is very violent film. And but the rest of it's good. Like, even if you're not familiar with the X-Men mythos at all, you don't need to be. There's some nice little Easter eggs there if you're familiar with the comics, the previous movies, and so forth. But if not, it's just a fine, complete movie in its own. You don't miss out on anything by not knowing anything about any previous film. They fill it in just fine. It has enough action bits that everyone's gonna like the action. Who likes action? It's got more than enough story and a lot of good feels. So I'd say less than 1 in 4 people who see this film are gonna. I mean, genuinely not like it. I'd say less than that, but I'd say comfortably 1 in 5. The odds you're gonna see this film and not like it, 1 in 5. They're pretty low, very manageable odds. It's a very good film. It's well made. Would I see this again? Yes, actually I would. Is the second part of my review, and as it turns out, yes, I would. This is a neat film. It's a complex film, and as a warning, this movie is long. This movie is, I have got to look this up, 137 freaking minutes long. This movie is 2 hours and 17 minutes of movie. It's a lot of movie. So, and considering how relatively few named characters there are, that tells, I think, a lot about how the storytelling was done. It's mostly character driven. I mean, it's not blowing shit up constantly, which I'm cool with. But if you're looking for an action film, that's what I'm gonna, save myself and say 1 in 5. But I would love to see this again. There are a lot of details in this that would be cool to see again, just to get more detail in it, just to get another run through. If for no other reason, I had to go to the bathroom. This movie's freaking 2 hours and 15 minutes long. So, anyway, those were my feelings on this film. I liked it a great deal. I think you should go see it. I think that's it. I'm out.